Jennifer Smoak, Fantasy Football League guru. Her team is doing well. Today we look into that a little bit, but also into some fantasy football questions on the chat room. Fire away, and we'll try to answer those for you. Jen Smoak joins us now. Your team is playing pretty well. I mean, fantastic, in fact. You've dug yourself out of a ditch.
Yes, my team exploded last week. It was my highest scoring week so far with over 187 fantasy points, and I am now in third place.
Well, Jen, things are looking up for you a lot. You've got good matchups this week. What's the biggest concern? Is it TJ Hawkinson playing for a new team week one? Is it that Tyler Lockett is questionable? What is it?
So I think now that I don't know if you saw, I picked up Deontay Foreman this week on waivers, which had an explosive week last week with, 3 touchdowns, over 118 yards. So I think right now that second running back position is still like a weak spot for me. And I keep kind of rotating. I dropped Antonio Gibson, then I picked him back up because, he's had 2 pretty good weeks back to back. And he's getting more passes, which helps his PPR appeal. And I wasn't sure, how he was going to play as soon as Brian Robinson came back. But I feel like they're throwing him the ball more. So that's always good for me. But I still feel like someone like Antonio will probably just stay on my bench until I desperately need him. But I do need to kind of like I'm playing that week, that running back 2 position week to week. But I think it will be hard to kind of sit Foreman this week after the week he had. But that, and then like you mentioned, I'm a little concerned with Hawkinson, learning the playbook, and it's kind of hard to keep him in because I'm not sure how many reps he'll get, but hopefully he'll take some, notes from McCaffrey because he sure hasn't had any problem learning the 49ers offense. And I really think it's a good spot for him, especially because, he just hasn't been super dynamic with the Lions except for that 1 week that he just had a huge week. So I'm excited to see what he does now that he's in Minnesota.
I have one roster suggestion for you. Cordell Patterson on IR right now, but he's in his 21-day window, so keep an eye out for him and try to get him before anybody else does. And then your running back 2 problem is probably solved because once he comes back, they'll have to give him the ball a lot. They're trying to make the playoffs, the Falcons are.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you said that because I was just, trying to figure out the last 2 days if I needed to decide between him and Antonio Gibson. And I know that, like I mentioned, I just know that that's not, those 2 guys aren't necessarily ones that I'm going to plan to start anytime soon. But at the same time, I do see a lot of potential for Cordero. So would you pick him over Gibson, or would you try to drop somebody else and pick Cordero up?
Well, I never like to carry 2 defenses, so I would have just dropped it. I know the Cowboys defense is okay, but you could stream defenses with
the Cowboys defense help win.
No, they're not just okay; they're good.
Yeah, I mean, as far as fantasy points go, yeah, they're good.
For
they're
fantasy,
fine.
yeah.
But yeah, and they're good, and I'm not trying to say that, but I don't like that. Or I would just cut Antonio Gibson and because there's the far more upside with Cordero Patterson.
All right. Yeah. Cowboys are a top 3 defense. So, okay. But anyway, that's fine. All right. So fantasy this upcoming week, but, they're on a bye. So, that's why I had the Bills. That's why I have 2 just this week. But, yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll consider putting Cordero in over Gibson. And yeah, I'll probably take your suggestion on that then.
She always
consider.
She never once rubber stamped something I've told her to do.
No,
I mean,
consider.
so that's
thumbing your nose.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll think about it.
And actually, you know what? The Cowboys are actually the top fantasy defense in this season so far. Just saying. But anyways, okay. What's next?
Wow, she just blew your hole into there. Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, I know. Paul's a Cowboys fan. I'm just messing with him.
But also like in my league
if I'm reading that stat right.
I'm in 2 leagues. That we've chucked the defense as far as. We don't have it on the roster anymore. It's just not something we do because they've changed all the rules.
Get rid of kickers too?
No, that's never leaving. I'll die on that hill. But Jen, what do you think about some of the trade deadline moves this week? Like, say, Kadarius Toney for the Chiefs. Was that somebody you would pick up and maybe stash long term, or do you think that's maybe not a this year move?
Well, I actually think that Meredith, who I'm playing this week, picked him up, or hold on, I saw somebody did just pick him up because I just saw saw it on the recent activity. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe they didn't. I could have sworn I saw him on someone's team. But yeah, I mean, gosh, it's just like, okay, Meredith has Smith-Schuster, and, he's had 2 big weeks before the bye week with over 100 receiving yards and a touchdown each game. So it's like, I feel like the potential for anybody that's playing for the Chiefs is up there. I don't really need another wide receiver option right now. I feel like I've got some pretty solid guys. But, I mean, I definitely feel like if somebody does need somebody for a wide receiver, and anybody that is on Patrick Mahomes' team is definitely a good positive pick for you to pick up. So I don't know if I'm going to, just because I don't really have room for him, but I definitely think it's a smart decision for other people to make with the way that, Mahomes utilizes his wide receivers.
Paxton asked Mrs. Smoak, Derrick Henry is going to run all over the Chiefs. And then MP said, I'm thinking about offering Patrick Mahomes for Derrick Henry. Is that a good trade? I'm struggling at running back.
If you're struggling at running back, I mean, it would depend on who you have as your backup quarterback. If you still have a pretty decent backup quarterback, then I would definitely go with that if you are struggling at running back. I mean, Derrick Henry, last week was his 4th consecutive game with over 200 yards on the ground, and he's averaging 26 points a game in his last 5 starts. So I definitely feel good, about that. I know he had kind of a slow start to the season, and I was stressed about him being my first round draft pick, but I would say if you can find a pretty solid quarterback to replace Mahomes, because quarterbacks, they can all get a pretty decent amount of points. I mean, even just someone like Justin Fields is probably available, and he's been having a great few weeks. So I feel like definitely running backs are hard to come across unless you get them on the waivers and you beat somebody else to it. So who wants to get rid of Mahomes? Nobody, but you can always find a quarterback that can at least get you a good solid amount of points.
Well, Jennifer, that's very sound advice considering his backup is Dak Prescott. So.
Yeah, but
yeah.
they're off. He can't do it this week.
Yeah, he can't do it this week.
Yeah.
I mean, or you got to pick up somebody else. But
so who among your team, and I've watched it because I have to painfully go through this every weekend, even though that's why I gave up fantasy football, who is underperforming in your opinion?
Oh, that's rude. Okay. Well, there is one girl that she's just having a hard time.
No, not a team. I'm talking about your team. Your team.
Okay, sorry. Okay, probably. I mean, Debo. I mean, I know he was on bye last week, and now he's hurt. But I love Debo, and I do think that Debo's a dynamic player. But like I said before, he is not the explosive fantasy player that he was last year. And I had one really big solid week from him that unfortunately didn't benefit me. But, I just want more from him. And now you add McCaffrey to the mix, which, Debo was running the ball. He was catching the ball. And now I feel like, with the way McCaffrey played last week, I mean, geez, they don't really need anybody else on the team. But it's just hard. I'm a little bit disappointed with his performance. And then, like I said last week, everyone, all the commentators and people are always like, Debo's such a dynamic player. He's so great. And they say that as he's sitting here doing these big things, but I don't feel like he gets the ball enough to do those big things. So I would say, he's probably one of the people on my team that I've been disappointed in. And then obviously James Conner. Ew. I just, Daniel warned me that he was, injury prone, but he's been terrible. And then I was reading something about how the Cardinals haven't been able to run the ball really well since he's been out. Okay, they weren't running the ball really well when he was in, so that's just stupid. That's an excuse. And I have not been pleased with him, especially since I skipped out getting Aaron Jones or Saquon Barkley with that pick in the draft. But, that's part of fantasy. You never know what to expect or what's going to happen. So those would probably be 2 of my more disappointing players.
I'm just glad that
she might play Saquon Barkley this week.
Yeah, Debo's been ahead that one game where he helped. I think, did he help you win that week?
Saquon's on bye this week, I thought.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so she can't play him, thank God. And then she's also has Jonathan Taylor, who's questionable with an ankle injury and didn't practice today. And then Mark Andrews, who's also questionable with a shoulder and ankle injury and also didn't practice today. So, that's kind of beneficial. Sorry for me, but we'll see. But it'll be interesting. Meredith's in second place right now, and she's 6-2. So we'll see. what happens.
All right, last question. I lost what I was. Oh, you made the prediction for Texas Tech to beat Baylor. All three of us did, as we were all wrong. Now your favorite team actually is Oklahoma, as your brother, and now Oklahoma Baylor play this weekend. Go.
OU. Sorry.
Took her less time to say that than it took her to say Tech. All right. All right.
But I mean, that probably just means that Baylor's going to win. So, I'm disappointed with a lot of my teams in the Big 12 this year, but we'll see. But I'm going to pick OU.
All right. Thank you very much. Jennifer.
Okay. Bye,
Smoak,
guys.
fantasy football guru. Her team's been hot. She's 4-4, tied for third, but an edge because of score.